Three of the favorites to win this World Cup just played their first games, and I need you to understand something before we get into it. What happened in the last 48 hours isn't just three stories about three teams dropping points. It's one story, and it's a story about cracks. Spain's best player can't start. Brazil's midfield got bypassed by Morocco like it wasn't even there. And the Netherlands were leading 2-1 with 25 minutes left and still couldn't hold on. That's not bad luck, that's a warning. And if you're paying attention, every team left in this tournament just got the same scouting report handed to them for free. Let's go fastest to slowest, because the Spain story is happening right now, today, as you're watching this. Lamine Yamal, the most talked about 18-year-old in world football, the player those giant billboards outside Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta were built for, is starting on the bench against Cape Verde. He's been out since April with a hamstring injury. His coach, Fuente, stood in front of the cameras on Sunday and said Yamal is in perfect condition. He said he's ready to play minutes, he just won't say how many or when. And Victor Muniz, Spain's other returning weapon, is in the same situation. Two of their most dangerous attacking players managed cautiously in Game 1 of the World Cup against a team making their debut on the biggest stage in football. Now go back 48 hours. Brazil versus Morocco, MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. Five-time world champions against the team that shook the world in Qatar 2022. Morocco went ahead in the 21st minute. Saibari collected a through ball between two of the best center backs in world football, Marquinhos and Gabriel, and lobbed Alisson. Calm, precise, unrattled. Brazil's midfield had been bypassed with a simple forward pass. It wasn't the last time. Morocco registered 12 shots before halftime. 12! And Vinícius, to his credit, equalized with a stunning angled strike in the 32nd minute, but the damage was done in terms of what that first half revealed. Ancelotti subbed Casemiro at halftime. He called it nerves. Vinícius said they started on a really bad note. The Brazilian press didn't call it nerves, they called it a crisis. Then Sunday night in Dallas, Netherlands versus Japan, one of the most anticipated matchups of the group stage. Van Dijk opens the scoring with a header in the 50th minute, his first ever World Cup goal, a moment Koeman had publicly framed as part of what he hoped would be an unforgettable final World Cup for the captain. Somerville makes it 2-1 in the 64th minute with a curling strike. The Dutch are cruising. Then Japan throw on 5 substitutes. A corner comes in, a substitute header finds Kamada, 89th minute, 2-2. Van Dijk's own words after the final whistle, "It's extra disappointing that we conceded from a set piece so late on." That is an understatement. Here's what nobody is connecting. These aren't three separate problems. They're the same problem wearing different kit. Start with Spain. What De La Fuente is doing with Yamal is medically sensible. Protect the hamstring in a match Spain should win without him, bring him off the bench, build his minutes. That's rational tournament management. Here's what that strategy assumes: that Spain's first-choice 11 without Yamal is dominant enough to control a game against a team they know nothing about. Cape Verde knocked out Cameroon to get here. Their coach warned the world about them the night before the game. And Spain are walking in without their most dangerous player in the starting 11. If Cape Verde sits in their defensive shape and makes Spain work for it, and they will, the pressure builds to throw Yamal on earlier than planned. That's the dilemma. De La Fuente wants to manage the hamstring over 6 weeks. The game might force the decision in 6 minutes. And here's the thing about Spain that worries me even more. Without Yamal's directness, without the chaos he causes just by receiving the ball in wide positions, Spain's attack becomes very readable. It becomes Rodri and Pedri recycling possession, waiting for gaps that don't open. The Euro 2024 final worked because Yamal dragged England's entire defensive structure out of shape. Without that, what's the threat? Ferran Torres, Oyarzabal, they're good players. They're not that kind of weapon. Now, Brazil. The Casemiro situation is more layered than it looks. Yes, he was booked, and Ancelotti yanked him at halftime to protect against a red card. That's smart management. But the reason he was in that position, the reason he needed protection, is because Brazil's midfield structure left him isolated from the start. The distances between Casemiro, Paeta, and Bruno Guimaraes were too large. Morocco just played balls through the spaces between them, repeatedly. That's not random, that's a shape problem. Fabinho came on and steadied things. Brazil looked better in the second half, but steadying is not solving. The question Ancelotti has to answer before Haiti is whether Casemiro starts, whether Fabinho starts, or whether he redesigns the midfield entirely. And he doesn't have much time because Brazil plays again in under 72 hours. I want to be clear about something here. Brazil are still in this group. Haiti is not Morocco. They'll get through. But every team in the knockout draw just watched that Morocco tape. They know how to press Brazil into mistakes in the first 30 minutes. They know the midfield spacing breaks down under pressure. That information is now out there. You can't put it back. And the Netherlands. This one is the most interesting to me because of who conceded and how. Van Dijk is the best defensive leader in world football. He is also 34 years old. In his last World Cup, playing for a country that has reached 3 finals and won 0. The Dutch gave up both equalizers from transition and set pieces, the two most consistent ways teams get punished when they dominate possession but leave themselves vulnerable behind the press. Japan's 89th minute goal didn't come from a sustained attack. It came from a corner, a substitute header above Van Dijk in the air, a deflection. That's not bad defending, but it's also not the defensive certainty you need if you're going deep in a knockout tournament. And Koeman's response in the post-match press conference was cryptic when pushed on tactics. That's not a coach who has answers yet. The thing that matters about the Netherlands is the opponent. Japan are excellent. They're dark horses with real reason to believe. Drawing with them is no disaster on its own. But the manner of it, leading twice, being pegged back twice, conceding late from a set piece, that's a mentality question as much as a tactical one. And in tournament football, mentality questions have a way of compounding. Here's where I land after watching all 3 of these stories land in the same 48-hour window. Spain will be forced to bring Yamal on earlier than planned today. Not in the 80th minute as a controlled cameo, significantly earlier. If Cape Verde's defensive shape holds for the first 45 minutes and Spain are drawing blank, De La Fuente faces the worst version of his own gamble. He either protects the hamstring and watches his tournament opener become a problem, or he rolls the dice on the player who makes everything work. I think he throws Yamal on at 60 minutes at the latest, and I think the hamstring holds, but we won't know for certain until it either does or it doesn't. Brazil will paper over the cracks against Haiti. They'll win 3-0 or 4-0, and Ancelotti will say the second half against Morocco told him everything he needed to know. Don't be fooled. The real test is when they meet a team that can actually sustain pressure for 90 minutes. And in this tournament, those teams exist. Morocco just proved it. And the Netherlands, this one is the most in.
Koeman has depth. He has options Ancelotti doesn't have, and De La Fuente is carefully managing. The Dutch can fix this because the talent is there, but the window is closing. Sweden in the next game, Tunisia after that. If they win both convincingly, we forget this draw happened. If they drop points again, the conversation around Van Dijk's last World Cup turns in a direction nobody wants. The scenario that proves me wrong on all 3, Spain wins 4-0 today with Yamal not coming on until the 85th minute, Brazil look organized from minute 1 against Haiti, and Netherlands beat Sweden by 2 or more with a clean sheet. That would mean the first 48 hours were noise, not signal. I don't think it's noise. 3 favorites, 3 cracks, same tournament week. The question I want to throw to you in the comments, which of these 3 teams worries you the most going forward? Spain managing their weapon, Brazil without a midfield answer, or Netherlands with a set-piece problem and a captain in his last dance? Because I think the answer tells you everything about who's actually going to win this thing. Watch Spain versus Cape Verde in the next few hours. What happens when, not if, Cape Verde make it uncomfortable will tell us more than anything.